So imagine that we have a completely clean slate. We can teach fractions exactly as we wish. How should we actually do it? There's a lot of research which shows that the last thing one should do, literally the last thing, is introduce the math notation. Now, fractions are represented by sort of numerator-denominator representation, which is slightly awkward. It's not the most friendly notation, so to speak. But the very first thing that one should do is give kids lots of experience with the underlying concept of fractions. So what's the underlying concept? The key concept behind fractions is the idea of the part to the whole. So the first thing that one should do is give as much experience as we possibly can to children with this underlying concept. Once they're comfortable with that concept of part to the whole, then and only then one should actually introduce the underlying math notation, which is the numerator-denominator representation of fractions. So what are different ways in which we can actually enhance the experience of children with the underlying concept of fractions, which is the concept of part to the whole? One way of doing it is through real objects. So for example, if we look at an apple, this is a whole apple and we can now cut it into various parts. So let's cut it into 4 parts, which are approximately equal sized. And now we have the whole apple and we can talk about parts of it. So that's 1 of the 4 parts, that's 2 of the 4 parts, that's 3 of the 4 parts. So with real objects, it's slightly easier to see and to experience the concept of part to the whole, but we should not restrict this experience only to physical objects. We should definitely be also talking about things like shapes, like measurement, like time, like weight. So for example, you have to experience half a kilogram. You can't see half a kilogram. So the idea is that we should definitely aim at giving lots of experiences to children with the underlying concept of fractions, which is the concept of the part to the whole, before we introduce the slightly awkward looking math notation, which is the numerator-denominator representation of fractions.